Good morning and welcome to the Web Conclave, jointly organized by the Departments of Mechanical Engineering and Career Development Center, SRM IST Vadapalani. A panel discussion titled Industry Expectations and Student Preparedness. We have Mr. Shashikanth Jayaraman, the moderator for the panel discussion this morning. With his permission, I will be privileged to call him as the son of the soil of SRM. Mr. Shashikanth has been a seasoned human resource leader with about 18 years of rich and varied corporate experience in managing blue-collar, white-collar, and pink-collar workforces across multiple sectors like BPO, BFSI, retail, auto consulting, EdTech, and IT. He has provided strategic and functional leadership in the areas of recruitment, learning and development, performance management, talent retention and engagement, cost optimization, workforce rationalization, culture re-engineering, and change management in result-oriented, multi-locational, and fast-paced growing environments at ABN AMRO Bank, Reliance Retail, Bajaj Alliance Life Insurance, TVS Automobile Solutions Limited, and Digital Intelligence Systems. Shashi is actually the founder and convener of HR Sangam, a not-for-profit forum in India to network and share knowledge among HR fraternity through a variety of initiatives, from conferences to workshops and networking events. Shashi holds a bachelor's in electrical and electronics engineering and a postgraduate diploma in human resource management with certifications in leadership development and PCMM. Shashi has been and is still a keen interest in behavioral sciences and has helped individuals, corporates, educational institutions, and NGOs develop their people capabilities and provide solutions to their human resource needs and challenges. We are honored and privileged to have him this morning in our midst as the moderator for this discussion. I hope and believe that we will have a fruitful discussion with his vast experience in the field. Now I request Mr. Shashikanth Jayaraman to take over the proceedings and to have the day on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sebastian. Thank you, SRM, for this opportunity. It's always nice to be coming back to where you belong. As Sebastian mentioned, it will be noteworthy to say that, yes, I graduated from the same institution where we are now talking. And it's a pleasure that the institution that shaped me is giving opportunities for me to give it back with all the experience that I've accumulated between the time I was associated then and now. Well, we have a very interesting topic here for the day. I presume this session is organized by the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and is the audience specific to mechanical, or is it all? Well, I actually see people from other streams as well. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Karthik.
It's not like that, sir. We have invited everyone, all engineering students.
Okay. So I always keep saying this. Mechanical is probably one of the toughest because you'll have to work in the heat of the lab, and also contend with the fact that mechanical population in a campus, and it's typically far more laborious to be motivating oneself on campus to be working, right? Computer science has the maximum diversity, whereas mechanical does not. And despite that, I mean, it's a funny thing, right? On Feb 14th, you find all of them very busy except the mechanical engineering students. But yes, I always believe that engineering is ruled by three words, which is soil, coil, and oil. Soil is civil engineering, coil is electrical, and oil is mechanical engineering. These three form the fundamental of the engineering process across the world. All the electronics and communication, the instrumentation, the mechatronics, the aviation, the production, the industrial, all that you talk for come from these three basic. So my take on engineering is that you can define it in three words, which is soil, coil, and oil. On that funny note, I will start the proceedings on this panel discussion. I'm joined by an elite panel for the day. It's indeed a privilege to be sharing the Zoom space with accomplished personnel. We have Mr. Alex, who's an HR advisor. We have Manikandan, a manufacturing excellence consultant. We have Mr. Gowri Shenbagaraman from one of the most reputed organizations in the country, Ashok Leyland. We have a dear friend, Kenneth Jeyseelan from TCS. He's been a TCS veteran. We have To round it off, we have an academician now, a corporate professional turned academician, Mr.Sriram Padmanabhan, director from SRM. Good. What is the placement scenario and the industry expectations as we talk today with COVID in the background, with the lockdown playing havoc with all of us? Or it is, I always keep saying this, in those days, people needed jobs. In the pre-liberalization era, you had a lot of people job seeking, unemployment rates were higher. And then in 1991, the magic happened. India became part of the mainstream liberalized economy. And then we know the magic that it has created subsequently. And over a period of time, quality of engineers passing out became a challenge and jobs needed quality people. So we saw a kind of a paradox within a span of a couple of decades. People needed jobs and then jobs needed people. Today, at the turn of 2020, with COVID breaking havoc across the globe, we are again possibly staring at a situation where people need jobs, with a scenario of organizations cutting down on expenditures, trying to be austere, trying to look at measures in frugality, which include reducing manpower, reinventing and possibly opening up newer job opportunities, newer job skills, and basically being part of an overall churn as we see today due to COVID. So what are we talking about? We are talking about some jobs getting redundant, newer jobs likely to get created, technology being leveraged more. Well, I would probably fall back on this panel to be throwing light on these facets and possibly more with their own wisdom. So I would initially invite opening remarks from each of our panelists. I'll take the pleasure of introducing them to the audience. And as we go around in a round robin manner, once we are done, we will quickly pause and throw open questions from the audience. I see there are close to 250 participants, and which is a healthy number. I must thank the audience as well. It's good that you chose to invest your time wisely in being a part of this conversation so that you gain. You could have chosen to be on social media, you could have chosen to be whiling away the time, but you chose to invest your time here. So hats off, and I really want to appreciate the audience that's come up, that's turned out for this session. What we would like to do is, if you have a question, you may want to put that on the chat window. You have a chat window on Zoom. As we go along, I will curate the questions. I will present those questions to the panelists. If you have a question specifically to any of the panel members, you may mention that as well. So on that note, with the ground rules set, I will start in right earnest. So we will quickly move on to Kenneth. We'll start with a friend. A friend in need is a friend indeed. So Kenneth, I want you to help me with being the opening batsman in this panel. For the audience to know about Kenneth, Kenneth is a seasoned HR professional. He comes with more than 2 decades of experience. In fact, he is one of the rare breed of professionals who started off as an academician and then transitioned to be a corporate professional. He has, to his credit, the distinction of churning out lots of HR graduates. Yes, you heard that right. He was lecturing in the Department of Social Work at the Loyola College for about 2 years between 1998 and 2000 before moving on to head the Department of Social Work at the Madras Christian College, one of the prestigious institutions, both prestigious institutions, in fact, in Chennai, standing tall, churning out glorious alumni over the years. And having headed the Department of Social Work until 2007 at the Madras Christian College, Kenneth moved on to the corporate sector. In fact, as we speak about these two campuses, I could not resist from recollecting the fantastic culturals that both these institutions have, Down Sterling at Loyola and Deep Woods at MCC. Maybe Kenneth can talk about it if he has time. But then from there, he moved on to TCS, and he's been with TCS for about over 13 years now. He joined in the space of L&D, handled the global finance transformation training function, moved on to head the L&D function for the BPS function of TCS China, and then transitioned to role of head of business HR in the BFSI piece. And now he heads the talent management at TCS for the BFSI CBO function. He has a lot of certifications to his credit. He's a certified trainer in 7 habits, in certified trainer in 6 thinking hats, certified facilitator in HRD, and well decorated with numerous awards. Academically, he holds a bachelor's in economics. He's from Trichy, by the way, and a gold medalist at that, and an MA in social work from, again, Loyola College. So Kenneth graduated in Loyola and became a lecturer there, much in a way like me, graduated from SRM and talking here in this forum. So Kenneth has discipline and commitment as his core values. He's always open to learning and unlearning, and believes that his passion is living every moment by just being there. So Kenneth, that's for you, boys and girls. Kenneth, over to you. Your opening remarks on the placement scenario and industry expectations at this point in time for the students here, please.
Just being here and now, I'll start with that, Sashi.
Sure.
Thank you very much for a wonderful introduction that you gave. Really, I am amazed of the introduction that you gave, completely capsuled every aspects. Friends, thank you very much for the opportunity given. I'm a person just being here and now, however you are. This is the mode of learning, networking, connecting. This is what the way of life that it has brought us. I call it the golden egg of opportunity that has been given by COVID. Okay. So the opportunity, how it is utilized, is what we need to look at it. So about me, my journey, it is already briefed about the academic and the professional life journey has been briefed by Shashi clearly to all of you. So I would like to take, I hope all of you are very, very comfortable, casual, I'm in t-shirt, I'm in shorts, I'm very casual, just being seated on a sofa. I expect that all of you are also that as casual as you are, because I strongly believe the learning happens when you are at your best, being yourself. If we believe that I am very comfortable and I am there at mind, being here and now, that is the stage that I would expect from all of you. I will my introductory beginning speech, I will keep it very short, because I would like to interact more with the questions later part of it. Okay. So as Sashi was saying, mechanical students, he put into 3 words: soil, coil, oil. Interesting terminology, Sashi. It actually clicked my mind. I was thinking, wow, that's an amazing thing that you brought in. It's a nice concept. But I'm not going to leave that concept as such. Yeah, Sashi, you are going to say something?
I was just saying, soil is civil, coil is electrical, and oil is mechanical.
Oh, okay. So these 3 combinations, wonderful combinations. You see, these wonderful combination of all these 3, that we talk about, whatever it is, so that you are relating to this soil, coil, oil, I am relating to every one of us here in every discipline. For me, the soil is, because we are all gathered here to the soil, fertile the soil that is there in the brain. So for me, the soil is the brain. The coil is the network that I build within this brain, that neurons that I have to develop the capability. So am I looking around that? Can I build this coil in my brain that brings out the best results? And the third one is oil. Oil is what I would look at it is as like what we are networking. Am I here to sharpen the saw to build my own capability to utilize? So with this connotation, I would widen the scope of not just going with the civil, mechanical and all. I will widen that to every discipline, people who are gathered here. Okay? Be ready with this soil, coil, oil, that you built your future. That's the first note that I would like to leave. The second note about the employability, everybody, in every forum, number of forums that I have addressed, I've looked at this employability as a question mark. What does that mean? First, he is not employable, all that. People put it on to some corner saying that employability lies with someone. For me, every college which is talking about employability, I would like to leave a thought today. Today, all my discussions are, if there are questions also, I would bring forth my examples, practical examples around that only is, are my students, are my freshers, so-called freshers, will they be experienced freshers? Everywhere the reject is because they don't have the experience, is what people say. Can I bring in this coined word called experienced freshers? Because the world that you are all learning, in every syllabus that we put in 6 months in the semester, am I bringing in only theory or is there practical? If there is a practical, if that is confined to the lab that you have, then that is not practical actually. That it has to be confined to the outside society, at your home first, in every practical aspect. If you bring that to your home, to the nearby neighboring places, and to the society, then you are an experienced fresher. So your resume should talk about experienced fresher, not a fresher. Please remove this word in your dictionary hereafter called as fresher, because every industry would look forward to the experienced fresher. So experienced freshers, how can I bring in that? All your learning needs to be tuned in around that. The learning needs to be tuned in such a way, am I becoming bookish or am I becoming so practical with all those theory into my life? So I was wondering, why don't people take practical things? Students don't take practical things because they are all jam-packed with all the assignments, all the work that they do with all through the syllabus to complete the syllabus. They actually cover the syllabus rather than opening the syllabus. Open the syllabus to know what it is, put in practice. All the practical projects that you bring in makes a lot. So experienced fresher. The other day I was visiting a college. I was just visiting a college, and there, not during the COVID, I'm talking a little for, because I have not traveled during the COVID period. That time, one student, actually school students were also invited for certain exhibition. A 9th standard student coming from a very backward, economically backward family, had put up one exhibition. She had got number of torchlights kind of it. I was wondering, what is it all about? And she said, sir, this is something, remote controls. What remote controls? She had something, wires, batteries, some sensors inside that small torch that we use. She said, in my home, I am utilizing all this. Every fan, every light has a remote control. That is made by me, sir. What is that practical? That's the experience pressure that I am talking about. In every field of yours, if you can bring in that experience pressure, that is the employability. So this is what if there are more questions, I will take it up later. This is the initial tone that I would like to leave, Sashi, with all the participants who are here. We will take practical examples and all as we progress. I would like to give more time for other panel members. Thank you, Sashi. Over to you.
Thank you, Kenneth. Opening remarks. Experienced freshers, that's certainly a new word that we heard, and it's certainly music to the ears of every HR professional, because that makes it easy in terms of training and keeping them ready for deployment into various projects. Being here and now is also a takeaway that I heard from your session. I will quickly move on to our friend Alex P. Mathew. Alex is an HR advisor. Alex comes with about 20 plus years of experience, friends, and he has specific experience in managing HR functions in small, medium, and large organizations, right from startups and captive units. So the experience is wide, the gamut is wide. He's worked in the manufacturing space, software, healthcare, ITES, and he's got a good blend of working extensively both in India and in the US. And over the last 20 years, he's picked up rich experience in handling end-to-end HR functions, right from talent acquisition, talent management, business partnering, employee engagement, compensation and benefits, performance management, and he's helped teams during mergers and acquisition phases, and he's been leading the HR teams. He's been in a leadership capacity in the last 15 plus years. Just to let you know the illustrious list of companies that he's worked for. He's worked for TCS. Now, TCS is a bedrock for many HR professionals today, especially in Chennai. A lot of people are from TCS and carry a lot of value-based HR coming in from TCS. He's worked with HCL, he's worked with WNS Global Services and NGM Healthcare in his last assignment as a Vice President HR. And Alex, absolute pleasure having you here, and may I invite you to share your opening remarks on the topic for the day, please.
So good morning, everyone, especially to the faculty and of course my dear students. Thank you, Sashi, for that introduction. It's already 25 minutes and the time flies fast. So we hardly have probably another 45-50 minutes. So I'll try to keep this probably a minute or so. I just want to continue with what Kenneth was saying in terms of, we are discussing about the industry expectation. So just two thoughts, and then I'll allow the other panelists, and then we'll probably go on to the question. First is that our education system is such that over a period of 12 years, it gives us as students a sense of complacency that we are probably unquestioning learners. They are looking at people who are flexible, who are ready, and who can come in with not just bookish or a theoretical experience. So therefore, it's very, very important that we as students completely have a change in mindset before we get into looking at the job market. And given the COVID scenario, whatever is going to be the new normal is going to be completely different from what we were used to so far. So there are opportunities, there is a market available, just that the type of market and the type of jobs and the expectations, the kind of work that is being done, just as much as we are on Zoom or Google Hangouts or anything else that would be the new normal tomorrow in terms of connectivity, we just need to be sure and certain and adjust to this. So the earlier experience is going to be handful, but then for the new generation, the new millennials, the baby boomers, whoever we are going to be part of, we just need to be accommodative and we need to do it fast. Earlier, the change was slow. Today, the change is going to be fast. It's going to be unpredictable, so we just need to be prepared for that. So with that, I leave it to the other panelists. Thank you so much and looking forward to your questions.
Thank you, Alex. Flexibility is the key takeaway from what you say. You want students to be with open eyes, wide open eyes for opportunities that's coming from anywhere, to be able to take up any also opportunity that comes their way, irrespective of any condition. So earlier there were a lot of conditions applied as a job seeker. Today, no conditions apply, right?
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. And should be ready to be innovative. That's most important.
Flexibility and innovation. Thank you very much, Alex. Yes. We will move on from Alex to a company that's widely respected, part of an illustrious group. We are talking of this gentleman from Ashok Leyland, Mr. Gowri Shenbagaraman, who's the AG of HR. Gowri Shenbagaraman has qualifications from the Indian School of Business, right? So a man from ISB, I'm going to call him GSB for the ease of addressing him. I hope that's okay with you, Gowri.
You can call me Gowri.
You can call you Gowri. Okay, right. So Gowri has a post-graduation in management from TAPMI, or the TAPI Management Institute, and holds a bachelor's degree in computer science and engineering. Computer science engineer working in Ashok Leyland. Well, that's an interesting combo. He comes with about 15 years of experience, and he's been in various organizations. He's been with the Vedanta Group. He's been with the Konkola Copper Mines PLC, and he's presently with Ashok Leyland. And he actually has a volunteer experience of an initiative with the help of his group of friends on improving employability of rural engineering students. That's a very, very noble thought. And I really want to listen to him, spend a minute or two on what he does there. so that the audience here also gets benefited and possibly inspired. But over to you, Gowri. Glad to have you here, and your remarks, please.
Sure. Thank you, Shashi, and thanks, SRM, for inviting me to be part of this discussion. I would like to just leave a couple of opening thoughts with the students here. Starting with the famous notes from Stephen Covey. There's something called circle of influence and circle of concern. Especially given the COVID scenario, there is I would urge the students not to worry about things. It is definitely not under our control because it's unprecedented.
Mr. Sebastian, you'll have to be on mute. Mr. Sebastian, please be on mute. Thank you. Gowri, please.
Yeah, sure. So even the heads of state of various countries don't know how things are going to evolve. So I would like to just stick with their base. Yeah, focus on what you can do best out of the 4 years at the institute. The second thing is Shashi was referring to about what happened in 91 and how we have moved. I believe even before COVID, our economy is in a state of an inflection point. So what we did in the last 20 years to move ourselves from a low-income economy to a mid-income economy, now the Prime Minister has already given an ambitious target of $5 trillion economy. I think that is not going to happen if we don't move up the value chain. So if the country has to move up the value chain, which means every organization has to move up the value chain, which means each and every one of you has to move up the value chain. So I think studying in an institute like SRM, getting a job, I think it cannot be a big goal, unlike what it was in the 90s. So each one of you should urge to look at how better you can move up the value chain. I think those are the two opening thoughts I would like to leave. And with regards to the initiative which you are running, I come from Madurai and I studied in Kovilpatti. Again, something similar was what Kenneth was talking about, experienced freshers, and that is what we are trying to create. We have named this initiative Sipikal Muthu because it's in Tudukuram district, and as you all know, it's called the City of Pearls. So we fund projects with predominantly rural engineering students, and we mentor them, we in a group of friends, so that their CV carries more weightage.
So Gowri, if Gowri studied in Kovilpatti, then it has to be National Engineering College.
Yeah.
With a lot of groundnut burfis for snacks.
Yeah.
Glad. Thank you, Gowri, for your opening thoughts. From Gowri, we will move on to our friend Manikandan. Manikandan is a manufacturing excellence consultant. Manikandan, thank you for joining us today. Manikandan is like me. He's an electrical engineer, but he did it in Jaipur. So I really want to understand what is the connection between Tamil Nadu and Jaipur, because he came back to Trichy for his MBA in HR and Operations Management from REC, now called the NIT. Well, in the past 19 years, he's worked in various organizations, friends. He's worked in Hindustan Aeronautics, he's worked in SL Propack, Nokia India, Pricol, and Rolls-Royce India as well. Now that will be a ride to go on, given that he's worked in Rolls-Royce. He's worked in various departments like quality, lean management, operational excellence, continuous improvement, corporate business excellence, quality and zero defects programs, right? He's part of the American Society for Quality Certified Six Sigma Belt. Again, the American Society for for quality certification in organizational excellence. He's part of the Project Management Institute, right? He is known for leading step change initiatives across organizations in all functions. He's helped in improving people practices, culture transformation, business excellence, lean management, Six Sigma, TOC, and overall project management. What I found wow in his profile is he's mentored and coached a total of 100 plus continuous improvements projects across various functions across the country. And he's trained and mentored close to 1,000 professionals on TOC, Lean Six Sigma, and value transformation related areas. He was a core team member of Project Blue, which is the Nokia Bridge Support Program, which took care of employees that were impacted due to the closure of the Nokia plant, right? He's had the distinction of speaking at places like ISRO, where we all look up to. He's been a regular speaker at CII, at his alma mater, and a lot of B schools across the country on topics like business excellence, zero defects, mapping your destiny, operations management, and whatnot. Let me tell you, his profile looks like what you find in Diwali, loaded with lot of features, right? It's like it's like you pay for something, but you get something much more than that. His profile seems to me like a Diwali package. Manikandan, I don't want to take the thunder away from what you have to share with the audience today. Over to you, my dear friend.
Hi. Thanks, Sasi, for the wonderful introduction. As we all know, COVID-19 impacts everybody in this world. All the 7.8 billion people in the world are going to be impacted by one or other way. If you look at any students, you need to make yourself strong in 3 areas: mental fitness, physical fitness. Once you have mental fitness and physical fitness on track, then we can talk about employability fitness. I'm a strong believer. If something happens which is not going to kill you, which means it is going to make you very stronger. Remember, COVID-19 is not going to kill us. So we all are going to come back with a stronger personality. So the industry expectation is very simple: to apply the basic engineering knowledge to solve real life problems. And focus on skills are increasing, and the importance of degrees are decreasing. Degree is a mere degree, but organizations are looking for the number of skill set you have on which you can apply directly. And I expect a skill-based pay in the post-COVID-19 scenario. If you have more skill sets, you will be paid more. And please increase your skill set on something like project management, problem solving, enhance your communication skills, time management, decision making. These are my thoughts to leave with. I will take questions as it comes. Thanks, Sasi.
Well, looks like I took more time in introducing Manikandan than Manikandan taking time to talk about the topic. But we will talk as we go forward, Mani. Thanks for your opening remarks. So we went around. So, they say what goes around comes around, and then we come back to ground zero. When I say ground zero, or rather square one, we come back to SRM. When I say SRM, we get back to our panelist, Mr. Sriram S Padmanabhan. Mr. Sriram is part of the SRM Institute of Science and Technology. Much like we in this panel going around and coming back to Sriram, he also has traveled around the world and come back to India, because he is a mechanical engineer and holds a post-graduation from XLRI in management. His work experience spans automobile, auto components, engineering and service sectors in Oman, UAE, Bahrain, the Middle East by and large, and then back in India. He's got an illustrious list of corporate conglomerates that he's worked for. It includes TVS. I happen to work in TVS in the past, so I share a commonality with him. He's worked with TVS, he's worked with Murugappa, the Bhavan Group in Oman, M&M, Mahindra & Mahindra in the sales and marketing of new projects and HR functions, before coming into consulting that spans talent acquisition, organizational development, and headhunting and board searching. So Sriram is a qualified assessor in the EFQM model of business excellence. He's been able to assess some of these leading companies in India like Hindustan Unilever, Bharat Electronics, and the Gas Authority of India Limited. He's taken an active interest in education and inner calling. Maybe he's been on the panel of external coaches for INSEAD's prestigious leadership program called ILPSE. Now that's something remarkable. He's been invited to mentor management students and deliver lectures across these schools, specifically in Mumbai. In his present role, he's putting to use his experience, all his experience, into the directorship of the Career Center, which encompasses the placement and career development cell of the SRM Institute of Science and Technology, not just in one, but across all the 4 campuses. All the 4 campuses could be quite a challenge. I guess and hope he stays in Vadapalani and in close proximity. So on that note, it's my pleasure, my privilege to introduce Mr. Sriram S Padmanabhan. And Mr. Sriram, over to you. Thank you for being a part of this panel. Over to you for your opening remarks, please.
First of all, thank you for your kind words, Shashi, and it's always a pleasure interacting with an alumnus of SRM. Let me, and I've been listening, to the various panelists. I must say it's quite an illustrious panel, and most of you, in fact, all of you have covered most of the points that anyway I would have touched upon. Now, let me just, step back a little and, with the benefit of the gray hair on my head. So I can say that, I passed out. I'm actually ancient. I passed out from Excel way back in 86. So probably my experience is more than the age of, some of you. So I frankly feel very ancient. Having said that, I've been in industry and my experience spans both the manufacturing sector, largely in the automotive and auto components, and also in the service sectors, and now in education. And in this period, I've also worked both in India and abroad. So now what I'm going to be doing is I just want to share some of the some of my experiences with me. Now let me just step back and read. The discussion today is the placement scenario. Now, if someone want to ask me what is the placement scenario going to look like next year, 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, my answer is I don't know. And there's a reason I'm saying this. Because who would have thought just 3 months back that a nation of 1.3 billion people could be effectively locked in? If somebody had made that statement to you or me, we would have laughed it away. We would have said, are you out of your mind? But here it is. This is the reality. Here we are. I'm stuck as we speak. I am stuck in my house in Mumbai. I maintain a base in Mumbai and also in Chennai. So I'm stuck in my base in Mumbai. And like most of you, I guess you're working from home. So here we are, exchanging our experiences and our thoughts sitting at home. And we wouldn't have imagined that such a scenario would come to pass. Having said that, now there are unique challenges, there are unique experiences, but I will be happy to take more questions as we go along, but let me put things in perspective from an SRM point of view. The batch of 2020, the graduating batch of 2020 actually had one of the best placement years. Just to give one interesting statistic, I know that we have a panelist from TCS here. We have all the four IT majors as we have the privilege of having all the 4 IT majors as our day one recruiters. In that they come to the SRM campus at the same point in time to make that selection of students. And for all the 4 of them, TCS, Wipro, Cognizant, and Infosys, they made the highest number of offers all India in SRM. And TCS itself made around 1,440 offers in SRM from the graduating class of 2020. Now, between the 4 of them, they made something like 4,449 offers in SRM. Now, if you were to ask me whether this scenario would be repeated in 2021, whether we would come close to it, the answer is I don't know. Suffice to say that at least as we speak, all of them are fairly bullish, and they have not given, nobody has given an indication that they are not going to be honoring the offer. So we know for sure that they are going to be honoring the offer. But as I see it, and now this is a personal opinion, it's not an SRM opinion, but it's a personal opinion. What I see panning out in the months to come is that the major recruiters will take a little time to onboard students, and this would have a cascading effect in the succeeding batch or succeeding batches. So what might happen is once the recruitment or the onboarding process gets staggered, obviously it will have a cascading effect. So which may result in some delays in the 2021 batch recruitment season. I see that as a distinct possibility. Though I'll be happily, very pleasantly surprised if it doesn't come to pass. Now, let me now step back and talk, since I have been in manufacturing and I take a personal interest in automobile and auto component. And let me tell you, I have worked at various points in time. I worked with the Murugappa Group. I worked with the TVS Group. In TVS Group, I was with Brakes India. I was the key account manager, All India, handling replacement market. And later I was a key, so I worn many hats. And later I was in Mahindra and Mahindra. The auto industry, in any case, was, staring at a slowdown because of a variety of factors, which actually it was maybe a double whammy or maybe even a triple whammy when it comes to the auto industry. Let us look at the major factors which impacted the auto industry. The first thing, and I know that there is somebody from Ashok Leyland, so I'm sure he will agree with me. The first thing was the transition from BS4 to BS6. That itself imposed a kind of a burden on most of the auto majors. And which again had a cascading effect on the auto component suppliers, the tier 1 suppliers, the tier 2 suppliers. The second thing is the impact of technology. The electric vehicles coming into the market, 2-wheelers and 4-wheelers, again having a huge impact. And to top it off was the COVID pandemic. So it's going to be a while before the auto industry, and when I say auto industry, the automobile manufacturers, the auto component manufacturers, it's going to be a while before they recover, thanks to a combination of all this, 3 factors that I mentioned. So, and when we talk of auto industry, it has a spin-off, because automobiles use steel. So it will have an impact in the steel industry. So, and they are major consumers of rubber because of the tire. So it will have an impact on the rubber industry and the tire industry. So that is how, and so on and so forth. So having said that, there are, widespread ramifications when we talk about this, but it's not all gloomy. As I say, when one door, I'm becoming a little philosophical here. When one door closes, there will be some other door which opens somewhere else. But what we as institutions, as individuals, need to do is to try and be ahead of the curve as much as possible, as far as possible. So you need to, as somebody else said, you need to keep constantly updating yourself. It's like now, we always were on a treadmill. You could never afford to stop while you're on a treadmill. You'll get thrown off. It's only that now the treadmill has started turning faster and faster. So while earlier you could afford maybe a leisurely jog on the treadmill, now you have to actually run rapidly on the treadmill to keep pace with the treadmill. Otherwise you'll get thrown. Right. Now what I'll do is I will take a pause here. Otherwise I can keep talking. And happy to come in again, whenever required. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sriram. We will quickly move on to taking some of these questions that have come up from the audience. In fact, as we were talking, we have received about some 12, 13 questions. In fact, there's a very pertinent question that is asked by Justin Isaias. He says, with the return of many experienced people from other places and abroad to their native, is that not going to make the job market cramped, given that opportunities are already, getting lesser? How far do our experienced fresher get opportunities? That's the first question. Kenneth, would you want to take that?
Sashi, can you just recap the question?
Sure. This question is from Justin Isaiah. He says, with the return of many experienced people from other locations back to their base and now wanting to stay in their hometowns, and given that a lot of people abroad might also feel the pinch of retrenchment and come back, on the other hand, given that we have a shrunk opportunity market, job opportunity market, what are the chances of the so-called experienced freshers in today's times?
Very, very good question, actually. I can feel from where he speaks also. Okay. Now, this is a perceived connotation saying that there will be reduced job opportunities. Shall we turn those the other way? When there are more problems, in fact, this is creating a more opportunity is what in our field actually, in fact. So anybody who is coming down from other countries back to our country also will, because with their experience, if we can reskill them and then take them all, that we can do. For freshers, the experienced freshers, if you look at it in TCS, we always conduct a lot of the competitions for freshers. There are different projects that are given. There is one project that's going coding, Code Vita. It's a contest that is done by TCS. You people take part, and these experienced professionals actually prove that they are actually experienced professionals. I'm telling you that you will get into the IT companies. We have a lot of opportunities. Opportunities would be there. In the initial stage, as of now, because of the COVID situation that we are being at home, we might think there aren't going to be opportunities. That because that we are at home, there are a lot of challenges that are coming. Can we turn that into golden opportunities and create new softwares that would be required? For example, in finance matters, simple finance things, the kind of liquidation that needs to be done for small businesses. As of now, there is a long process of checking, giving loan, all that. If you facilitate, that's going to be at their doorstep. There is a job opportunity there. We as an IIT people, if we can code them, bring them the bank into such a situation, the bank can facilitate loans at their doorsteps like this in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. They are all there, but we'll have to speed up that. So likewise, in every problem that we have a lot of opportunities that are being created. So don't be scared about job being lost. It is please be not worried about, take the opportunity to challenge yourself to scale up the requirement to the requirement that I am. Can I scale up for that? Work towards that. I'm sure you will have opportunity. Don't worry about these 2-3 months. After 6 months, everything should be fine with a lot of opportunities.
Great. That was more like a Rajinikanth punch dialogue, right? God is with us.
If I may just butt in for a minute, I didn't understand experienced professional because it's an oxymoron. So when you say experienced fresher, so how can you be, a fresher if you are experienced? So first of all, I didn't understand that. But if I may answer in a general fashion, I would support what my earlier panelists said, that there's nothing absolutely to worry as long as you have some specialist skills to bring to the table. I mean, one need not worry about the competition.
Thank you. In fact, my next question was to Mr. Sriram, in the sense that how would industries practically tackle a slump in sales, productivity, and development? That's a question that's coming from Vedant Sairam.
Yeah, okay. Can you come again on the, can you repeat the question, please?
The question is, given the current situation, how do industries practically tackle the slump in sales, productivity, and overall development?
Okay, it's a real motherhood kind of a question, but I will, do my best to answer it, and I'm sure, I have, fellow panelists from the industry and who are better qualified to answer. But if I may just take one, industry, which is again, I go back to the automobile industry or maybe the white goods industry. Anything which is going to cost money. Let's please understand where we are, and the present reality is that in many companies, in many organizations, they have instituted a pay cut. Now, people may accept it, people may acknowledge it, So in quite a few organizations, we have anecdotal evidence that, in so and so company, there is a 20% cut, 30% cut, 40% cut. So let's please understand that there is much less money, disposable money in people's wallets. So there is less money to spend beyond essentials. When I say beyond essentials, beyond food, next would come, say, clothing. So beyond food and clothing, there is less disposable income to spend in quote unquote luxury items or on other items. So to my mind, people's first focus, and by extension, organizations' first focus would be to try and get back on the recovery mode ASAP, as soon as possible. And then they would look beyond their immediate needs and go to fulfilling their other needs. And only then will it spur the demand, only after my basic demand. So I'm answering this question from a micro to macro. I'm not going from macro to micro. I'm answering this question from an individual and then extrapolating to industry.
Right.
So if I now go beyond, I'm confident that I can take care of my family and provide for their basic, clothing, food, shelter. Only then will I, start looking at taking them out for a movie, to a mall, to for entertainment, for a holiday abroad, or look at replacing my car. So those things to put it mildly, they are, down the ladder of priorities. So when that happens, and if I happen to be in the hotel industry or, in some other industry which is not a top priority for me, it will take that much longer for my industry to recover. I hope I have answered this question, and thank you.
Got it. In fact, Manikandan Raja has come with an interesting question. How multidisciplinary courses can benefit student outcomes? I can actually throw it open. Any one of us could want to answer. Maybe Manikandan, Gowri, Alex, one of you?
Yeah, it's very much relevant, Shashi.
Okay.
Like if I take the auto industry, as an example, like when you move from BS3 to BS4, so a truck is, we call it as a mechanical device, if you can use the word. So it's no longer the number of sensors which a BS4 vehicle had almost increased four times. Now we are talking about a BS6 vehicle. It'll increase by another 25%. So even as an organization in our campus hiring policy, we have consciously, but like not even 5 years back, 90% of our campus recruits are mechanical engineers. So today we are looking at not only electronics or mechatronics guy, people who can, bring in, a multiple skill. If you look at workmen, we used to call the word multi-skilling, which is again a cost optimization initiative, you can say.
True.
So when it comes to knowledge workforce like engineers, we look at interdisciplinary. Now, another thing I would urge engineers is to improve their financial acumen, especially in the manufacturing industry. 5-6 months down the line, when they are made in charge of a shift, then which means they need to have the capacity to monitor what is the raw material being used for consumption and things like that. So financial acumen, interdisciplinary skills are very key.
Okay, thank you. I have this question for Alex, if I may, and this is from Purushottaman Srikanth, and his question is, do you have any thoughts about how data scientists are recruited and what would be the prerequisites? Would you want to take that one, Alex?
Yeah, I can, but I will not restrict to data scientists in necessarily in sense, probably unless the student is, particularly interested only in the stream. But I will give you a generalized.
You want to talk about an unlimited data plan? Go ahead.
Unlimited data plan, yeah. So let's put it that way. We have more than 250-300 students, so we'll try and make it relevant to others also. Not that data scientists is not important; they are. See, the most important challenge today, what we are facing is not job continuity or job security or finance. Most important thing that we have to understand is the fear factor. I don't think so far we ever faced fear the way it is today. Fear of the unknown, fear of health, fear of job, fear of financial markets, from Franklin Templeton to everything else to SBI, everything seems to be, having a problem. Our money in the bank is not safe. Money in the government is not safe. Money in private institutions is not safe. Money at home is also not safe. Right? So there is a huge fear factor. Now, students especially, please hear me out and do not misunderstand. Please be very sensitive to the needs of families, your parents, your friends, your whoever you're staying with. You probably have not worked yet, and therefore you don't understand when money which was in your hand is either not there today or has suddenly disappeared drastically today. Tomorrow is going to be a new beginning. So please be sensitive, because these are not times where even if you do have money, sometimes it's not accessible. Having said that, there are two ways of addressing the questions. I will approach it this way. First, be it a data scientist or be it any field that you're looking at, the requirement of what an employer is looking for is two different things. One, what is the requirement from an employer point of view? As a student or as a prospective candidate, where am I today? Is there a gap? And if there is, how do I address this gap? Now, this gap is not going to be, addressed just in a day. Tomorrow the gap could be new, day after it will be new, and therefore it's a continuous thing where we need to be careful, because that is the today's change that is happening. Having said that, the skills are drastically changing. Today, it is more of automation, more of AI learning, be it data science, be it machine learning. You just have to be in tune with that. Second, you've got to be very, very clear. So I'll just give you a quote in the gap that what NASSCOM is addressing in terms of what especially engineering students are. It has got no reflection to SRM or any particular engineering college, but it is more of a general study that has happened very recently that was done. And what they say is this. They say the data shows that almost 25% of engineering students, their employability, there is a huge challenge. The industry has to spend almost 16 to 24 weeks in training them, and this costs almost 0.75 billion or more than 1,000 crores annually just in training them. And only 5% have suitable skills to be employed in either the software or product market, and 7% handle hardcore training tasks. So this is a NASSCOM thing. Now, having said that, where is the gap? Gap is largely, they say, more than 57% lack analytical and quantitative skills. There is a huge gap in addressing communication issues. So, preparedness is absolutely important today. So, there is a lack in how prepared a student we are, and that the fact that the changing job scenario is giving us more of a challenge. Now, if you look at the data by Aspiring Minds is an entity by alumni of NTI. It's even more scary. What they say is this. Only 3.84%, this is last year's data, the latest that has come, are employable in software-related jobs at startups. Only 2.5% possess new age skills in AI, which is basically data science and machine learning. Only 1.5% to 4% possess skills in data engineering. Only 2.8% to 5% are qualified in wireless technology. Only 5.5% are qualified for basic programming. And out of this, if you include factors like cognitive factors, language skills, and things like that, then that reduces by about 50 to 60%. So you're looking at probably 1.5 to 1.7%. Now, in comparison, US has a much higher proportion, almost 4 times where compared to Indian students, especially on these areas and specific to programming skills. So what happens? The problem is you need to have freshers who have a fair bit of experience. Could it be as part of internship, could be practical learning, could be hands-on job, wherever that they've done during the 4-5 years courses. Now what the data says, only 40% end up doing internship and 36% do any project beyond coursework, which means you are experienced in an area which is not your core. That is the biggest challenge today. So where are the opportunities that you've got to be prepared other than, of course, the soft skills that we discussed? I can quickly run through it for want of time. One definitely is the skill called Spark. So Spark is an area which is a software which enables firms to sift through large amounts of data stored on the cloud. Second, AWS is nothing but your Amazon Web Series services. This basically helps to make up on-demand computer platform. You have machine learning, which you know. You have Azure. Azure is a cloud computing application that services run, such as Microsoft operated data centers. You have Tableau. This is nothing but a business intelligence software which helps companies to visualize large sets of data. Business analytics, you're probably familiar with that. You have Salesforce. It's a cloud computing software that is best known for customer relation management applications. You have Selenium. This is a portable software testing framework for web applications. So these are all some of the areas where today the job market is changing, given the changing scenario from complete hands-on job to automation and AI. So therefore, that's where I would say you got to be prepared, and of course, not to mention the soft skills that is absolutely needed. Hope I have answered this.
Pretty elaborate, Alex. Thank you. Thank you very much. In fact, I have this question from one of these guys called Surya Kiran, and Surya Kiran has, should I be a master or should I be a jack? In fact, the question is, there are two candidates in computer science. One has expertise in a particular language, or there is another candidate who has familiarity in different languages, but doesn't have expertise in any. Is a quick learner. The first guy is also a quick learner. Out of the two, whom would you recruit given an option? Anybody could answer this.
I'll go here.
Okay.
Whom would I recruit? Recruitment would be based on the need that we have. Let's say if I'm looking at an SME, a masterpiece of expert, I'll go for that person who is skilled in one masterpiece, because the breadth and depth for this person, that he has gone into the depth of the knowledge of one aspect. If we are in need of an SME, we would go for that. But if it is a delivery, pure process, in that case, I will look at that person who is multi-skilled, and today I will have a project, tomorrow I will have some other project. Reskilling that person would be much more possible easily. So if it is a process requirement, I will go for the second person. If you look at the challenge here, the first person, the masterpiece, we can go in that depth and actually can contribute only in that subject. If my 4C is future competency requirement for my organization, I am very clear next 2 years, that is going to be the requirement, I'll really choose the first person. Okay. So these are the two ways that we will look at while deciding upon.
Thank you, Kenneth. Kenneth has been, Manikandan has been largely unengaged, if I may say so, in this. So I want to really reach out to Manikandan and pose this question. Mani, are you there? Yes. Mani, the question that's come for you here is that there are a lot of traditional organizations, manufacturing industries, which are either scaling down or shutting down. Core company visit on campus as such is low. With this scenario, the opportunities in the core sector, as students like to call it, gets even lesser. Now, how do you see the outlook going forward? Number one. Number two, what do you think we will need to additionally equip ourselves with to stand a chance? Now, this is from a mechanical engineering perspective.
If you ask me, I had experience of recruiting mechanical engineers. With respect to core skills, when they come for interview, our expectation is hand over the drawing to the student, that candidate, give them 30 minutes time, let them come out with the process technology to manufacture the product. So if he wants to be in mechanical domain, he should have the knowledge to convert the drawing into a part. He needs to have that kind of in-depth knowledge on the subject. This is one. Okay. He really wants to come out with flying colors, something like project management, one he has to master. Everything goes in a project management way, whether it is a 1-day project, 1-week project, or 10 days project, or a year-long project. So if he acquires the skill, something like creativity and innovation also, it will help them a lot. These three things I suggest. Be strong in your core area, strong project management, and creativity and innovation.
Okay. Mani, do you think internships are going to be a challenge? Now, if it were to be an IT environment, you can sit anywhere and do, a coding and still get an internship experience. But with regard to a manufacturing sector, it makes sense for you to be right there physically, right, with all the machinery around running. So how do you think internships can be pursued in these times? Do you think the industry will open up for offline or virtual internships? Do you think that's a possibility in the manufacturing space? Because that's an industry that's a curriculum requirement, and students will be hugely disadvantaged if that is not going to be provided to them. Your thoughts on that, please?
See, internship has to solve the real life problem. If you go and ask any organization, they will have at least one of the problem. Quality is the problem, cost is the problem, delivery is the problem. So if they can take up the real life problem, I am confident organization will provide them ample of opportunities. Maybe twice in a week, they can come to the factory, do their work and go. Or even sitting at home, they can do some kind of internship. But it has to solve the real world problem. Today, when we talk about automobile industry, we talk about lot of emissions. Can they come out with some kind of fuel which can reduce emissions? Something for a e-commerce industry. They are struggling with inventory turnover, inventory management, order to service. So they can come out with the real life problem, solution to the real life problem. They can do it, the project sitting at home also. Both are possible. Okay.
One question to Gowri, with the scenario of scaled down production, do you think companies would be open enough to have training programs undertaken, or will the focus be on job reduction only? What are your thoughts?
No, definitely not. Like the mode of training has changed. Like a couple of days back, also there was an article in Business Line about what we have done, since March. So in fact, the number of man-hours of training in Ashok Leyland has increased during the shutdown. Of course, most things have gone virtual, and this is spanning across the functions. I think even our leadership is clear. While cost optimization will happen, but that doesn't mean we will not equip our people to the requirements of the future, especially people at our shop floor. As I said, we're moving into BS6 and electric vehicles coming. I think that will continue. I think these two are mutually exclusive.
Okay, good. Thank you. In fact, another person has asked, with 70% of, there was an article where about 70% of startups are getting shut down due to the impact of COVID. Does it make it insecure for the students to join startups in the future? Now, I'll possibly take that question. Why would somebody want to join a startup? You will have to really understand what is your need. Are you looking at learning? Are you looking at doing something on your own terms in an adventurous manner where things are not very organized, or are you looking at financial security? I think seeking a job as a student will have to be on the basis of what you need and what the company needs. When you sit for an interview, when you shortlist a company, you would want to look at what the company offers to you. Does it match with your career aspirations, right? Now, before that, what are your aspirations? Are you here to become a domain expert, or are you here to earn money, or are you here to kind of explore something new and feel a sense of achievement and having created something new? Well, if you have an answer to this question, you will be able to consider startups as an option accordingly. Startups today typically are those for people with a streak of adventurism, they're willing to take the risk, because startup doesn't have brands, startups don't have great workspaces, but they have great culture of people working together. They have great culture of people collaborating and working endlessly for us together. I've worked in a startup myself, and I'm sure people like Alex are also advising startups extensively. So the point is, what you need is what matters. If your focus is on financial security, you may want to look at a larger organization. But again, today, when COVID has come, who thought? It's not just about startups. Every industry has been hit because of COVID, right? So security beyond a point will only be imaginary. It's anybody's guess. So you might say, I might go for a bigger brand where there could be opportunities where you could feel relatively safe. But if there is mass retrenchment, then you're back on the roads, right? Similarly, so it's about your appetite and your outlook at the end of the day, and that's how it is. Alex, would you want to add a word or two here on the startup piece, on the insecurities of a startup?
The startups are always a risk. Even in the best of times, they were always a risk because it's largely a supply and demand issue. Now, most students, now I have been in startups, but my intention during those days when I did startups was only two things. One, startups is an opportunity where things are not going to be organized, right? So you're going to be involved in a multi-layer issue, in multi-dimensional issue, across, divisions, across departments, across programs, like everything. So being a HR person, you're involved in everything, including financials. That is the first. Second, startups gives you an opportunity. You may be a mechanical student, electronics student, various other students, but you're not. Today, what happens? It's like this, the Three Idiots movie. Unfortunately, most students are not necessarily studying in the core area of interest or skills. They are there by default. Parents push them for various reasons. Startups probably help you to understand where your real interest and skills lie because you're going to be involved in multiple areas and then probably zoom in. That is a huge opportunity that startups give. Today, the risk is much more because even SoftBank, one of the largest lenders, if not the largest lender, has said because of the COVID crisis, their loss is $17.3 billion. Now that's what it says. So today, it's not a viable option, especially when you're not sure what is your demand. And for demand, we as consumers need to buy, and to buy, you need money in our hands. So today, it's an extremely risky proposition. We do not know what tomorrow's normal is. Whatever the experts may say, COVID is new. When everything is new, only time will tell what the new normal is.
Thank you, Alex. In fact, there's a question on the concept of capstone projects, which will help students to get hands-on experience. This question is coming for Mr. Sriram. Do you think shaping up one's career will be immensely helpful if capstone projects in each and every semester is built into the academic curriculum? Do you see that as a possibility in SRM to begin with?
First of all, I would like to understand what is the, the questioner's concept of a capstone project. So that, it will help clarify my thoughts and also give an appropriate response.
Right.
Okay. Basically, having said that, I mean, if that's looking difficult, let me just answer it in a little more general fashion. If I have understood the question correctly,
I will. Can I elaborate on that, Mr. Sriram? A minute, so that
go ahead.
It helps you. Yeah. So what basically people are telling is, can we extend the practicals, the lab beyond, and for maybe one major subject every semester, we provide some time to do a project on that particular subject towards the end of the semester. So there are assignments, there are seminars that are handled in the class, but can we break down the internship or summer projects into smaller engagements subject-wise at the end of each semester? Which means you will have about typically 6 projects that somebody would have undertaken during the course of the entire engineering curriculum.
Okay, it is an interesting question, and it definitely would. The short answer is yes, it would definitely benefit the students. In that, it would give them some real life exposure every semester on semester. Having said that, it is going to be quite challenging to implement it practically, especially when we talk of a large campus like SRM, where between the 4 campuses, I don't know what the size was when you studied, but now our class strength, the batch strength in a given year is 10,000. 10,000 students split between 4 campuses, with the largest number being in Katanglatu. So it is going to be, from an SRM standpoint, it is going to be, very, very challenging. it's not that something like this, some variant of this has been, been in academia, in fact, for quite a long time. And MIST Vadapalani was a pioneer in this, where, or to a certain extent, I think even some college in Coimbatore, where, they call it a sandwich course, where, the practical training is integrated with your curriculum. Now, what I would like to say is this seems to be a little ambitious, but, it is certainly an interesting idea. I don't know how practical it would be in terms of implementability. But what I would urge the students is there are 3 windows for internship in a given 4-year engineering program, undergrad program. The first 2 are the short internships of 6 to 8 week duration between the, second and third year and the third and final year. And the third internship window is the longer internship window of 6 months during the final semester. In fact, now we see a trend of many companies wanting to combine their offer with the 8th semester internship. So the deal is that, I select you, you do your internship in my organization, and at the end of 6 months, I convert that into an offer. In some cases, it is a conditional internship. In some cases, it is an unconditional internship. By conditional internship, I mean that the organization says that you come intern with me at the end of 6 months. If you have done well, and if I have a vacancy, I will convert that into an offer. Unconditional internship is that, yes, your offer is here, but you need to do a 6-month internship with me, and then it gets seamlessly rolled over into an offer. So these are the 2 broad trends which are there. So okay. So now to answer this question, practical exposure. In fact, one of the things which I keep hearing from industry, and I'm from industry myself, and I've sat on the other side of the table when I've gone to campuses to recruit GETs and management trainees. And the one constant issue that we are confronted is the gap between academia and industry expectations. It is there. Now we are doing our best to bridge it, and these are all ways and means to bridge it by means of a project or by means of internship. But there is still a gap. So now my advice to my young friends who are listening into this conversation is that take your projects and take your internship very, very seriously, because quite often I have seen in interviews the questions which are asked, because let's please understand the interview panel, especially in a large campus like SRM, have a 5 to 7 minute window when they see a candidate to take a go, no-go decision. That's it. In 5 minutes, the panel has to take a decision whether they would like to, shortlist this candidate or select a candidate or move on. Now, during that time, what will they ask? So one of the frequently asked questions is, what was the project that you did? In which company did you do your internship? And please be aware that if you have done a copy-paste in your project work, it will get exposed in the second minute. So my submission to the students is, please take your project work seriously. Even if it resulted in a failure, there is learning in the failure. You can say that, look, this is how I screwed up, and these are my learnings. And if given a chance to do this project again, this is how I would do it. Now, if a student were to talk to me with that amount of candor and saying that this is why I failed and this is my learning, I would definitely shortlist that student or straight away make an offer to that student. So there is a learning in the failure. There is nothing to be afraid of in failure, right? And that is, to my mind, that is one of the main reasons why Silicon Valley is Silicon Valley, because Silicon Valley celebrates failures. They say that, okay, you have screwed up, you have failed, no problem, pick yourself up, dust your elbow and move on, right? So that is the kind of thing that we need to inculcate. I hope I've answered the question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Kenneth, you want to add in a point here? We are running short of time. We are towards the close of session. Would you want to make a quick comment?
Just a brief, one quick observation I would like to make. I think the previous panelist has made the clear answer. Yes. Yes, if it is yes. In fact, if it is actually in a syllabus, I leave a challenge to the universities and colleges. In the syllabus of a professional course, if that cannot be made into practical as a challenge, please remove them from the syllabus. This is a very, very strong message I would like to leave. If that cannot be made into practical, please remove them in the syllabus in your day-to-day life, number one. Number two, when I meant experienced freshers, this is what I meant. Clearly bringing them into practical aspects. For example, an electrical guy could study all the domestic appliances aspects. At home, the washing machine goes repairs and you call for a professional. If you can't do it, then you are actually losing the experience part of it. So do not look at becoming experienced freshers only from automobile industry, going in person. You can do it for your home, you can do it for your neighboring, you can do it for your society. Thus, you bring in your experienced fresher concept. This is what I want to reinforce.
Thank you, Kenneth. I'll just take this last question. In the interest of time, I will answer this myself. This person has asked, sir, we are studying mechanical engineer, but there are other people who are studying coding as part of their syllabus in 4 years. When we sit for a campus placement, we have an unfair advantage. So my question is, you are a mechanical engineer, why do you want to compete with a computer science engineer? You want to learn to swim, but you want to fly with others. I think it'll be a misfit. So it's better to stick on to what you have chosen and look at that. Yes, opportunities could be strained and limited in the streams, in various streams. The core industry doesn't recruit as much as the IT industry, but then yes, life has always been the survival of the fittest. On that note, I would want to kind of bring this session to a close. I would have loved to have some closing comments, but then we are not taking any more questions. I want to tell these guys that the students that I hope you understand the fact that it's not humanly possible to be entertaining all the questions. We've tried our best to combine as many questions as possible and see how best we can. In case your question is not addressed, our humble apologies. It was not the intention of us, but I'm sure you will understand and continue to learn. If we are not there, you have Google, you have Mr. Sriram, the director of the Career Development Cell, and Mr. Sebastian, the other academia. You can still continue to reach out to any one of us through the social media handles or through any other forum that Mr. Sebastian would like to suggest. But I want to take this moment to thank Alex, Kenneth, Gowri, Sriram, and Manikandan for joining in on this panel. Thank you. I'm really not sure if we expressed ourselves enough, but when you have about 250 plus participants, it can be mind-boggling at times. And I reckon we have done our best, given the time and given the topic, in terms of how best we could share our thoughts. So thank you very much, dear panel members.